Okay, so you're considering making a move from out of state, and maybe you don't know the area too well and you're trying to figure out where you want to be. And maybe you don't fall into that camp, but maybe you just want a little bit more knowledge about the Metro Phoenix area. And so the best way that I like to describe how we kind of operate here, there's really two different sections. There's the East Valley and there's the West Valley. And then you kind of have Scottsdale and PV that are their own little stepchild to that. And so depending on where you want to be, it's going to be crucial you understand both parts of town. And a lot of times it's going to be dependent on work or family or the reasons why you're moving here, which could dictate where you want to be. But the whole purpose of what this out-of-state classroom is all about is to kind of help you figure out where you want to be and to go over the pros and cons of each and go over housing and price points and different locations. And if you're into the nightlife or restaurants or activities or hiking or going to the lake or off-roading or whatever it might be, that we cover all this. And some areas provide other things and other areas, and we're just going to cover all that. And so the purpose of this video in particular is I just want to show you the outline of which is which and what is what. So we're going to dive into the computer, do a little screen share, and we're going to do that right now. So let's jump over here. What we're looking at is Metro Phoenix from bird's eye view. So you can kind of see where everything's at here. If I zoom out a little bit further, you can kind of see where it's at inside of Arizona. So I know I mentioned East Valley, West Valley. We have the West Valley over here. We have the East Valley over here. Now, keep in mind, slightly biased because I was born and raised in the East Valley. The way that I kind of sum it up is people who were born and raised in the East Valley don't move to the West Valley. People who are born in the West Valley sometimes move to the East Valley, but typically want to stay in the West Valley. Now, West Valley is doing a tremendous job at growth because through 2020, 2021, 2022, the tremendous growth in real estate and the influx of people moving here, the migration, we were forced to move out, right? We're forced to expand. And Buckeye, Surprise, Peoria, this part, like if I could draw a line, if you can follow my mouse, this part exploded. And there's a lot of money being poured into there and making that part of town really freaking cool. Really cool. This is the Cardinal Stadium right here. If you're interested in going to the Cardinals games, if you're a football fan, if you move here, by the way, you have to become a Cardinals fan. That's just the rules and how it goes. Okay, so you can see we're on a grid system, which is probably everyone's favorite part when they move here. Understanding the roads is fairly simple to understand. Obviously, downtown's kind of crazy, but everywhere else you can see it's in 1 mile square blocks. And so what's really convenient about that is if I have to give you directions, I could say, hey, just head north on Gilbert until you hit Guadalupe, hang a right. It's not that complicated, right? And so trying to figure out the roads over time is fairly simple. Also, the freeway system is also pretty dang simple too, depending on where you're coming from. We have the 60 that cuts right through the East Valley. We have the 202 that encompasses the outside of it. We have this is the 10, the 10 cuts all the way through, and that will just keep going all the way to California. So you can take the 10 to California. And then we have the 101 that cuts through part of the East Valley and then loops all the way around into the West Valley, which is this freeway right here. You'll follow my little boom, 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 boom. 101. And then we have the 17 that connects downtown, which will take you up north. So depending on where you want to be. Okay, up north is actually really cool. Highly recommend if you do move here, go check some places out here. Flagstaff, I'm sure you've heard of it. Prescott, really cool area. That's actually where I was born. Really cool spot. If you need recommendations when you go to either of those spots, let me know. Payson, have family that lives, I just sold a cabin right here actually. Payson is right here. That's probably it's like about an hour and a half away, depending on where you're at, Metro Phoenix. So if you want to get to snow, things like that, Payson's probably going to be the closest one. And then you can continue on to like Show Low. I'll actually be there showing a cabin there in a couple days. Snowflake, have family that lives in Snowflake. Okay, anyway, but this is kind of the area, right? So you have the West Valley, you have the East Valley. Now, depending on what you're looking at when it comes to price points, obviously there's going to be pockets in here that are more expensive than others and vice versa. Maricopa is always kind of a hot commodity when it comes to out of town because your dollar stretches further in Maricopa. You're outside of town. Now, Maricopa is a pretty unique little area. One, it's pretty much landlocked with Indian reservation. Okay, so the growth there, I don't want to say it's stunted, but there's only so much that can happen. So any of this like light gray, it's reservation, so you can't build. So you have this, your dollar stretches further. So when you're looking at homes online, you'll see the 3,000 square foot home, 5-bedroom, whatever you're looking for significantly cheaper than if you were to go, let's say, into Chandler. So Maricopa, a lot of people, from my experience, end up just kind of stumbling on Maricopa just because of price point. Now, it's important to know about Maricopa. There's really one way in, one way out, which makes it a little bit of a nightmare. When you first come into Maricopa, right here, this is a street light. So all the traffic coming in is going to get caught up in that street light, and traffic will be backed in. Now, who Maricopa is really good for are those that aren't on that 9-to-5 schedule. So if you're retired, or your job is flexible, or you're a 1099, or you own your own company, whatever it might be, and you don't have that 9-to-5, Maricopa can really work out for you. Just to kind of give you some context, to get from Maricopa to like Chandler, 35, 40 minutes. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Now, Maricopa has everything that you need, all the grocery, restaurants, things like that. It's going to be a little bit of a smaller town, but it's definitely viable. You know, you just have to be aware of the traffic situation. So depending on what you're looking for in that, because a lot of people, they come here from, let's say, Chicago or California, these high traffic areas, like they come here because they don't want to sit in traffic anymore. And so this 347, a lot of traffic build up there. Just food for thought. Buckeye, which is out here. See if I can zoom out a little bit. Right here. So a lot of growth here as well. Same kind of rules apply to your dollar is going to stretch further. Just a simple rule of thumb. The outskirts, homes will be cheaper. Homes will be cheaper. That's where they have to expand, right? They're expanding outwards. Buckeye being one of the big ones. If you go to the East Valley, Queen Creek, Santan Valley, which is right over here. Another big one. North Peoria too, up in this area. Awesome area. So depending on where you work, where your family lives, whatever you're looking for, if you're really big into golf, I have some awesome things. I'm a big golfer, and I golf all around the city. So if you're big into golf, I can definitely give you recommendations on where you want to be, or which clubs, or if you want to be a membership, like whatever you're looking for. So East Valley, West Valley, right? And then you have kind of that stepbrother I told you about, Scottsdale, which is this area right here. Then you have Paradise Valley, which has the highest average price point in Metro Phoenix. What's really cool about that is you have Camelback Mountain, which is really cool, and it's just a really neat place. Scottsdale has everything you need. The minute you go into a Scottsdale zip code, your price point's going to increase. Just good food for thought. Now, again, Scottsdale's a really cool spot. Like, a lot of people understand what Scottsdale is when they come here. They know about it. So I'm not really going to talk a lot about Scottsdale. It's just a higher price point area, and it has a ton of really cool places. Okay, I'm an East Valley boy. Love the East Valley. Born and raised. Went to high school. Family lives over here. Love it. So Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, I could talk for days about that. Now, I've lived here my entire life, so I know basically the entire valley like the back of my hand. But again, I've lived here, and I told you from the beginning, I'm going to be a little biased here. So this is what the areas look like, right? Bird's eye view. So it's important when you move here to understand these. Why are you moving here? Work, family, where are they at? And how accessible do you want them to be? Then we have to dial in what kind of budget you're working with and what best fits the goals that you're trying to hit, right? If you want your payment to be X, how do we do that? And there's various ways of doing that, not just price point. And so it's just a conversation. But that's the overhead view. Other videos are going to dive into these areas significantly better. Freeways are awesome. And just so you know, this 202, this little freeway right here, this is new. They built this a few years ago, and I call it the greatest gift Arizona's ever given us. You're probably going to hear me reference that a few times in these videos. If you need to get to the West, let's say you move to the East Valley and you need to get to the West Valley for whatever reason, this 202 is always wide open, and it is the best because most of the congestion comes from this area right here. This is where you're going to hit the majority of your traffic. Downtown. And you can bypass all that. Plus, this is called South Mountain, a really cool mountain, a lot of hiking trails there. Arizona Grand golf course right here, really cool golf course. But it's a beautiful drive. One, it's really nice because you're right up against the mountain. It's a cooler drive than the typical drive in Metro Phoenix. It's always available, and the roads are nice and smooth, brand new roads. It's the greatest gift. This 202 will get slightly congested during the busier times because it is servicing north and south. This side of the 202 is just servicing south of it. So this is always wide open. Just an FYI. 17 is my least favorite highway. 60, it's a weird one. It's the only thing that cuts diagonal through. It confuses everybody here. Okay, that's Metro Phoenix. Okay, just want to give you an overview on what we're looking at. West Valley, East Valley, and Scottsdale. Maricopa, because a lot of times people fall in Maricopa. Santan Valley, I know I mentioned that earlier. Again, your dollar is going to stretch further here. Here's the biggest problem with Santan Valley is you're far off a freeway. So if you want to, let's just say you want to live in Pecan Creek, just an example, and you need to get to a freeway, you're probably 25, 30 minutes just from the freeway. Just to kind of give you some context, Mesa Gateway Airport. So there is an airport here. It's smaller. That's not our main airport. It's going to be a smaller airport. It does service a lot of places, does fly a lot of places, but it's going to be the smaller airport. This is Sky Harbor, the bigger one, downtown. Okay. Now, other videos, we're going to dive in deeper within these communities. and talk about pros and cons, all that kind of stuff. But just want to give you a high level overview of what the heck we're looking at here. Okay, on to the next.